Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make dark and unique samples for Southside. The samples from a sample pack that I just dropped with Godboydinero. It has 20 dark samples similar to this style, like Southside, Pyrex, Wheezy, Q-Beats, plus 20 bonus midis. So I'll leave a link down in the description for that kit if you're interested. But yeah, anyways, I thought this sample was really hard, so I figured I'd go in and break it down as usual and show how I made it, so hopefully you can learn something or take something away from it. But anyways, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and let's get right into it. Alright, so as you can see, I have the final sample pulled up here. We're sitting at 155 BPM. Final sample is in C minor, and as you can see, I pitch it down from C sharp to C, so one semitone at the very end. So everything that I'm going to be going over and showing is in C sharp minor, but then at the very end I pitch it down from C sharp to C. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just play the sample so you guys can hear it. Usually for Southside samples you want to be at a higher BPM range, so anywhere from like the high 140s to 160. For some reason when I'm making Southside samples, I almost always end up in either C minor, C sharp minor, D minor, or D sharp minor. Those are like the best scales to use in my opinion for really dark Southside samples. Sometimes like F or F sharp, but I don't know why, like 90% of the time I end up between C and D sharp. So anyways, I'm going to play the sample so you can hear it, and then I'll break down everything I did to make it. Yeah, as you guys can hear, very energetic, very dark. It definitely sounds like something Southside would use. But yeah, for the first sound, I don't have the actual MIDI. I don't know what happened. But I do remember I used Contact, and I used a preset from Adam. I don't remember the exact preset. I think, if I can try to remember, I think it's Torpedo 2. I don't know, it's one of these keys. I don't know what happened. I must have deleted the Contact for some reason, but anyways, I used that preset from Adam to come up with this pattern right here. And then what I did is I pitched it down 5 semitones, so it sounds like this. And then for effects, I just had some chorus on it from Valhalla Ubermod, 25% halftime, and an EQ to take out the low end and some of the highs. Okay, for the next sound, I actually do have the preset and the MIDI saved. So I pulled up this preset from Adam as well, called the Pinch 2 preset, and I laid down this MIDI along with the sound that I already had. Again, nothing too complex, but I started with the root note at C sharp, and then I just have another note up top at G sharp that just kind of repeats throughout the MIDI. It just kind of arpeggiates. So as you can see, from C sharp down here to C sharp, and then another G sharp, up to C sharp, up to D sharp. So it just kind of like arpeggiates up and down, and then I have this little like stutter note right there, and then it arpeggiates down, and then it just repeats throughout the whole thing. So I'll go ahead and play how that sounds just by itself. Yeah, that's with the halftime, and then as you can see in the sample, there's a part where the halftime is only at 50%, and so that sounds like this. And then for the effects, I just put sketch cassette to add some tape, some reverb, like I said, halftime, and then an EQ to take out some of the low end. So that already to me sounded really, really dark, and it already had a lot of energy, and it already sounded like something that Southside would use. So yeah. So what I had laid down already sounded really gritty and dark. So I decided I just wanted to add a flute to that. So I pulled up Arcade and I found this bank right here. I've shown this bank before in some of my tutorials. They're kind of overused, to be honest, so you got to try to really make them your own. So mess with the effects, these black notes right here. They can add effects to the sound. So Arcade has built-in effects with these black notes. Mess around with those, add your own effects, add your own EQing, you know, pitch it up, pitch it down, halftime it, whatever you gotta do to make it sound unique. I pulled up that preset and I just have a flute going. We'll go ahead and play it by itself. And then it just repeats. So as you can hear, this very beginning is different from this note right here. Even though it's the same note, playing this effect note right here just makes it sound different. And then I have this effect at the end. So yeah, with the effects, it really like added a lot of energy to it. And I thought it sounded really good with what I already had. And then there's a part in the sample where I kind of have it going back and forth with the flute pitched down and pitched up. What I did is I just cloned the same exact pattern, same exact preset, and then I went here and I pitched it up. If you have Arcade, maybe you didn't know that you can pitch it down or pitch it up in Arcade itself, so you don't have to do it yourself. So for the second part, it sounds like this, pitched up. And then for the effects, I just have fresh air to boost a lot of the high end. And then I have an EQ on the low end to take out the low end, and then some of the high end. That's pretty much it for the flute. So I just have that going back and forth, pitched down and pitched up throughout the sample. Alright, so I liked where the sample was at. Already had a lot of energy, already sounded very dark with the flute and everything that was already in it. So I figured I didn't really need to add anything else. I just wanted to add a bass to end it off. Even though there's only 3 sounds, it sounded like there's a lot of movement in the sample already, because at certain points, flute is pitched down, it's pitched up, and then the second sound is either half-timed or not half-timed. So there's variation already just with the 3 sounds, so I didn't really necessarily need another sound. So yeah, I just wanted to add a bass for the final, as the final thing for the sample. And so I pulled up Contact and I opened up this preset right here, Scarby Rickenbacker bass with the dub bass preset. I use this bass a lot in a lot of my samples, and I wanted the bass to be kind of unique because even though there's variation in the sample, it was kind of repetitive, so I wanted to have not just a really super basic bass. So what I did is I started with the root note, obviously at C sharp, and what I originally had was like this, except it wasn't separated, so it was just one note like this, and it just went up to G sharp at the end and then repeated for every bar. But what I did, as you can see, is I took this first note right here and I pitched it up 2 semitones at the beginning of every bar. So I'll go ahead and play how that sounds just by itself. So to me, that added a lot more energy to the sample, and it just made the bass kind of stand out and a little bit more unique. As for effects for the bass, I didn't add anything, I just put it in mono. Alright, so once I had all the sounds that I wanted, I just structured it out how I wanted to. So I have all the sounds at the beginning with the bass and the flute going up and down, pitched down 1 octave and then pitched up 1 octave. And then as you can see, that kind of switches throughout the sample. And then for the second part right here, the bass cuts out, and I have the halftime lowered to 50% on the second sound. Then the halftime goes back up, and it's just the 2 sounds without the flute. At the very end, I have the original pattern at the very beginning copied over to the end just without the bass, so that if people want to use it with the bass, they can do that, or without the bass. And then as always, I put the stems at the end so that people have the option to chop the stems if they want. But anyway, once I did that, I rendered it out as an audio file, brought it back in, and like I said earlier, pitched it from C sharp minor to C minor, so just pitched it down one semitone. And then I put it to its own mixer track. As you can see, it's right here. I added a little bit of virtual tape machine, and then an EQ to take out some more of the low end and the high end, and some harsh frequencies that we're playing. And then I did the same with the bass, pitched it down from C sharp to C. And for the master, I just added a compressor and Maximus to control the volume to make it louder. And so that's pretty much it for this sample. Like I said, in a lot of my other tutorials, 9 times out of 10 you want to try to keep it simple. So as you can see, there's only 3 sounds, but there's still variation. It still sounds full, it sounds good, it sounds like something that a lot of people would use. So you don't need a bunch of crazy midis and a bunch of layers and a bunch of sounds to have a good sample. You can have 3 sounds, you can add variation, and just keep it simple. Sound selection is huge, make your sample sound good. So if you could do all that, you don't need all the crazy midis and patterns to make your sample stand out. But anyways, like I said, this sample is a part of a sample pack I just dropped with 20 samples like this, all in the style of Southside, Q Beats, Wheezy, that kind of vibe. So I'll leave a link down in the description for that. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.